Hello, dear students and my audience. Welcome to YouTube channel Dr. Ahmed once again, dedicated to the studies and education and helping the students preparing their examinations. In today's lecture, we shall be briefly talking on chapter 4 of the novel Moth by Hamid. Chapter 4 is a very particular type of chapter because here the writer has used a technique in order to let us know what is the background of Dara Shizad, the protagonist of the story, when he was a student, because the story had started from the very moment when he was an adult. He was put out of the job from the bank, and what has been happening, a little bit of the light is to be thrown by the writer in this chapter. In this chapter, there is a professor, Julius Superb, who is being interviewed by Zulfikar Manto. Zulfikar Manto, as we know, is definitely the woman that is the wife of Uzi in this novel, Mumtaz Kashmiri, lovingly known as Taji also. She is having the pen name Zulfikar Manto, and the writer has used this technique of making her interview the professor, Julius Superb. And supposedly it has been shown that this person, Daras Kushizat, has been the student of that professor, how he was. So, what kind of information we can get out of it, that can be found in this chapter 4. So, for this purpose, let's view the text for a little bit moment and see how we can talk about this. This is chapter 4, and you can see that it's a type of interview. The green area goes to indicate that two people are present. One is Professor Julius Superb, other is Zulfikar Manto, and the heading of the chapter is also like that, opening the purple box, an interview with Professor Julius Superb. So in that way, the technique has been used to let us know about the background through the tongue of the professor. Professor's mind has also been revealed through this discussion, how he would think and what kind of forgetfulness he would have. The very first thing that needs our attention is the question put by Zulfikar Manto. Actually, I asked if something was wrong, but let's begin at the beginning. How did you first meet Darsh Kushizad? So that's the question put to Professor Julius Superb in order to let us know what has been the kind of teenage or the kind of childhood or the college life of Darsh Kushizad. The professor says that he was a student of mine. He distinguished himself by attending my lectures and taking notes. It was the second characteristic, taking note, that really caught my eye. So one day I said, "What do you think you are doing?" To which he replied, "I am sorry, professor." And I responded, "No, you're not. You have doing it. You have been rather doing it for weeks. You are taking notes. Is that really so unusual?" Not really, but I confront each and every of one of them. No one takes notes in my class without explaining themselves to me. Personally, I hit them with an impromptu quiz right there, one or on one, and if they do well enough, I ask them to come to my discussion group. Most refuse, Daru didn't. So this is the passage that goes to show how and in what way Darash Kushazat became important for Professor Julius Superb, because when he used to give lectures at that time, Darashiku sat in the classroom and he would take notes of his lecture. That goes to point out that how much attentive he was and how he would take notes. I mean, taking notes is not an easy task. It's just not copying the words, but rather understanding the lecture. So it means that lots of class people may not be understanding the lecture, but the ones who are taking a little bit of notes, these people possibly are having some understanding, and that's why they are taking notes. So Professor Julius Perp says that he noticed that Darashku Shizad was taking notes, and that was something which attracted him towards him, and that is why he invited him to join the discussion group. Most of the time, when he asked someone to join the discussion group at that time, the students would run away, disappear, but Darashku Shizad did not disappear. That goes to show that he was interested in his lessons, he wanted to have discussion, he was confident of these lessons, and had some information in his mind also, and that goes to show richness of his mind, good career of education at that time. So in this way, one attestation is coming about Tarashku, that he was not a bad person from the very beginning. He was the type of person who wanted to know something, wanted to do something, wanted to enjoy his life, and that was the style he adopted. Let us further see, by digging down into the chapter, what other information about the professor or that of Zulfikar Manto or that of Darashku Shazad can be found visibly here. So here is the text. You can see the text here once again, and going down we can find more green passages which are important. For example, here Zulfikar Manto puts another question, And what was the subject of his dissertation? Development, microcredit, specifically small loans to low income groups guaranteed by the community, the Grameen Bank model and variations, explaining how default rates, analyzing claims of paternalism, social critique, that sort of thing. So, when the question is put what kind of dissertation Tarash Kushizad was working on, at that time, multiple topics, multiple areas are talked about that he was basically working on the small loans, on the pattern and on the model of the Grameen Bank and this different variation that possibly may be suitable in our country. So we can say that Darash Kushizad was working not on any ordinary or becoming rich type of dissertation. He was working on how he can uplift his people and how he can take big strides on helping of the people on the model of the Grameen Bank. And so that was something positive he was doing. So it was the research area also he was interested in. This too goes to show that he was not a dull or a unintelligent or the person who didn't take interest in his studies. This goes to show that he did have the type of interest here. So Darash Kushizad's educational career is being told to us. Let's see more, and in that way we shall read very soon on a passage here. Julius Perp says money, I think his girlfriend had just left him for a textile baron's son. He got a job offer from a bank and he couldn't resist. He told me it was impossible to make a living in academia or development. I told him he was wrong. Students will pay good cash for exam questions and multiple lateral certainly make some poor people, their employees, well off. He didn't appreciate the humor, so I said he was too bright to work for a bank, which was true. And I asked him about his commitment to being someone who acts rather than complains. He said he was acting for himself so he could stop complaining, and he left. So the teaching type of job, academia type of job, was not the main stake or cup of tea for Daru. Instead, he wanted to do something very higher, something very bigger. Professor Julius Perb also says that he was a greater mind, he was a powerful mind, so it was not that necessary that he should simply teach. He could perform something else as well. And that is why even after his effort to keep him, to stop him in teaching, Darashuku went away in order to become something big. He didn't become something big, rather he took a job in the bank because he said that money was needed, and without money it was not possible to live in Pakistan. And for the sake of money, he took a survival type of job. It was not that good job according to his mind. So this is the tragedy of most of the people in Pakistan, that they may be deserving more and more, they may be having extraordinary qualities, but they have to accept the jobs which are not of their accordance, because in that way merit is definitely not appreciated. A kind of expediency is used, and that is why many young people fail to exercise and employ their talent for the good of the country. And similarly, we have large number of people in Pakistan who simply keep on complaining instead of acting something. Every Pakistani, when they sit, they will try to describe the problem, narrate the problem, re-narrate the problem in multiple ways, just to narrate it beautifully, narrate it critically, without taking any action, without taking any type of solutions. So Darashku was a person who didn't want to complain, who wanted to go for action and solutions. And this type of people are very rare and very little in number in Pakistan, especially. Most of the people would talk of the problem rather than trying to solve the problem. So in that way, Darashku Shizad, as a young man, was not altogether a bad man. He was having characteristics in him. If properly used, he could become a great person. But then society, social norms and expediency, corruption of the society, that was all capitalism, and along with feudalism, that was all responsible for the fall of such a brilliant young man as Professor Julius Perb is going to talk about that. See more in the chapter. What else we can find before closing the chapter? Here is another area. Professor Julius Perp says, I have given quite a bit of thought to that question. It can be analyzed using a three-dimensional matrix. On the x-axis, that is the horizontal axis, is the accused. On the vertical axis, y is the crime, and on the z-axis, rising up the page is the defense. And this situation is clearly in the I can see I'm losing you. So professor's way of talking, making complication of the things. Instead of a simple problem, why Daru was being punished, he tries to give a very matrix type of explanation by using x and y axis and then z axis. So that is not even clear. He himself loses the kind of point, and ultimately, this is again Professor Julius Berg gives another example by saying, "Okay, let's take the situation in a different way." He says that an educated young man, he's orphaned, he's complicated, he's extremely sympathetic, and in that way, he's in the hands of the police, and the crime is there, and in that way, the punishment does come to him. So he, in fact, talks about the system which is running in a very particular way, which is taking its own toll, not letting the people see how good things can happen, how good things can be done. Instead of that, the system takes its own ground. And this ground is not that particular. It is just the ground with which the people can be nabbed, people can be, checked and clicked, and in that way put to the punishments. And in that way, the talent goes wasted. And here in this case, we know that Daru is not responsible for the kind of crime which is being put on him. He is he is trying to help his friend, trying to get rid of the whole kind of thing which happened on the road. A boy was killed. So in that way, he is sacrificing as well. So a lot of light has been thrown on the character of Daru when he was a young man before going to the jail. The background is being discussed with us. Just the last point that I want to highlight out of this chapter, for this purpose again going in the end of the chapter, it says here, Julius Berg says that, my dear Mr. Manto, I just don't know from my experience. Daru is completely crazy, quick-tempered, oversensitive, inconsistent, but so I am, and I haven't killed anyone. Thank you. It has been my good fortune, I assure you. So these are some of the conclusive characteristics which are given by Julius Berg. He says that Daru is crazy, quick-tempered, oversensitive, and inconsistent. But then he says, so am I. He says that he himself is having these characteristics, but then just a fault has been committed by him, that he killed a boy on the road, and that's the kind of thing which makes him different. Otherwise, all Pakistanis, maybe the professors, students are the same, that they are most of the time very crazy, quick-tempered, oversensitive, and inconsistent as well. So these 4 to 5 characteristics come together to make to make every Pakistani, to make Professor Julius Berg as well. So in this way, chapter 4 ends, and we people are able to have a good view how the writer uses the technique in order to let us know the background of Daru, and tries to portray a picture of declaring how Daru type of people can be sacrificed, can be made criminal, can their careers be destroyed because of the norms, because of the society which is going on, because of the nature of the society, and because of number of other factors. So here the chapter 4 closes. Hope to see you in some next video. So far, if you like this video, understand this video, and have some benefit of that, do not fail to hit the subscribe button, like button, and comments also if you like to know something else. So thank you very much, and that's it from me for this day. Thank you for watching this video.